It's the Chip and Lance Show with Chip and Lance.
How many days into this dang quarantine are we, Chip?
Well, Lance, I'm glad you asked, because I've been using these here popsicle sticks to keep track of that very unit of time.
Popsicle sticks?
Well, can you name a better way to keep track of time?
Well, let's see. There's this round thing with two hands and...
Jigglypuff?
Never mind. Anyway, Chip, we ain't had 3,000 days of quarantine or however many popsicle sticks those are.
I needed extra so I could build this here popsicle stick Eiffel Tower.
That's a bridge, Chip.
Yep, those French. Crazy.
But again, Chip, where'd you get all those?
Now, Lance, when I say popsicle sticks, I need you to have a flexible idea of just what I mean.
Hey, this wood looks like mahogany. Have you been carving up the $6,000 mahogany table I bought at Crazy Larry's Antiques?
Oh, Lance, when you put it like that, it sounds bad.
It is bad, Chip.
I know Crazy Larry gives crazy good deals, but I got two words for you, Lance. Imitation, mahogany.
Wait a second. You saying this table's a fake?
No, Lance. I'm saying that nothing looks more like imitation mahogany than real mahogany, which this table is, or was.
Chip, if we're gonna be quarantined together, you need to respect my stuff.
But Lance, we're friends, not to mention family. Besides, don't forget that I also destroyed your Porsche, your Grecian urn. Where'd you say that came from again?
Ancient Greece.
Well,
Chip.
that explains the moniker Grecian. Not to mention your vintage Lyman motorboat, your original copy of the White Album, and just recently that last can of pizza-flavored Pringles in your pantry.
Oh, come on, Chip. I was saving those for a special snack.
You're gonna eat your motorboat, Lance?
Chip, only one of the things you mentioned are edible.
Well, I know it ain't the Pringles.
Dang it all, Chip.
As for the White Album, now, Lance, I don't recommend eating beetles for a snack.
Chip, what a terrible pun.
A pun?
Never mind. Listen to me, Chip. Listing all the other things of mine that you've destroyed over the years, whether through carelessness, temporary insanity, or a misguided idea of how much I cared about them, is not a good way of justifying your current actions.
Hey, I also set that swing set you made for your kids on fire.
I thought that was destroyed by lightning.
Nope.
Chip, you just can't go around destroying other people's stuff.
I don't destroy other people's stuff, Lance. I destroy your stuff. We're friends, Lance.
Chip, that's not friendly.
It's funny.
No, it's not.
Well, you sure did get a kick out of it when your motorboat exploded. Tears of laughter.
Those were tears of anger, Chip.
Huh? Well, what about when I drove your Porsche off that cliff? You were so happy when I jumped out just in time, you practically laughed.
Chip, I was happy you weren't dead. Sorta.
Well, then we had a good laugh about it all over a beer, Lance.
Chip, I was in shock. And instead of beer, you accidentally gave me gasoline.
Nobody's perfect, Lance.
Chip, I'm just gonna say it. Sometimes, you're a bad friend.
Best friend, Lance. You meant to say best.
I know what I meant to say, Chip.
I always replace everything I destroy with something even nicer. Like when I crashed your Porsche, I got you that malnourished possum to take care of.
Chip, I don't know how to explain this to you, but that is hardly a one-to-one.
Well, I know that, Lance. The life of a possum versus the value of a Porsche, there's no comparison, but what can I say? I'm generous.
Chip.
And then there was the time I spilled all my food on your favorite dirty old sweater, and I gave you a 50-pound sack of gold.
Yeah, that was actually kind of nice, but it's not the point, Chip.
Well, what is the point, Lance? You're not making any sense again.
Okay, let me just try to tell you a story so that maybe you can understand.
I love stories.
Yeah, I know, Chip, I know. So our story begins one fine day with a man named, Drip. Yeah, his name was Drip McDrippery, and old Drip...
I like him already.
Yeah, great. So old Drip went to his friend's house, his friend, Chance.
What was his last name?
Drip?
Chance.
What? Stedford. Chance Stedford.
That's a great name.
Yeah, and old Drip...
Wait a second. Hey, I just realized those names Drip and Chance, they rhyme with a couple other names, don't they? Slip and Trance.
Yeah, well, anyway, Rip and Slip or Drip or whatever his name was did something he ought not to have done.
Oh, no, not that. Anything but that.
Afraid so, Chip. He took Chance's favorite possum painting.
Now, Lance, do you mean a painting of a possum or a painting painted by a possum? Or a painting painted by a possum of a possum?
Well, which one's better?
Well, that last one, of course.
Well, that's the one.
That's my favorite kind.
Yep, gonna guess that. Well, anyhow, you can understand how Chance felt when Drip took that painting and burned it as a joke.
Lance, that ain't funny. No friend would ever do that.
No, Chip, they wouldn't. Now, do you see any parallel between this story and our time in quarantine together?
Let's see here. I do.
Good, Chip. Now, the parallel is, of course...
Well, Chance liked possum paintings, and I like possum paintings.
What? No, Chip, that's not the point.
Huh? Well, Lance, you will have to explain the point to me, because I do not understand.
Okay, Chip, why don't I try to make the same point with a different story? How's that?
Oh, great, Lance. I love stories. I think I told you that before.
Yes, Chip, you did indeed. So, our story begins with a man named, Hip McGregory.
He's got the same last name as me.
How about that, Chip? Anyway, old Hip McGregory went over to see his best friend Fancy Redford during the quarantine.
He's got the same last name as you. And first name is Silly.
Yeah, how about that, Chip? That's an amazing coincidence. Maybe it means something, Chip.
Well, what could it mean, Lance?
Well, maybe we'll find out as we go along, Chip.
Wait a second. Was Fancy Redford the kind of man who would own a fancy mahogany table and a Porsche?
Why, yes, Chip, as a matter of fact, he was.
I bet his friend Hip caused Fancy a lot of trouble by destroying his valuable possessions. And Fancy got mad, but Hip couldn't understand why.
Why, Chip, it's like you already know this story.
And then, Hip and Fancy went on a big adventure to outer space. There are aliens and robots, and the Badger Lord.
What? No, Chip, that is not how this story goes.
Well, I'm sorry, Lance. I just thought Hip and Fancy would work out their differences that way. It seemed natural to me.
Fine, they worked out their differences. The end.
Well, Lance, I perceive that you are upset. I forgot you weren't a science fiction kind of a feller. I am not being a sensitive friend. I apologize.
No apology necessary, Chip. Look, why don't I just... All right, here's one more story, okay? Let me try one more time.
I love stories, Lance.
I know that, Chip.
This is the best day ever. 3 new stories I ain't never heard before.
Yeah, that's great. Now, our story begins with our hero, Pink Eye.
Pink Eye, I know her.
That's right, Chip. Pink Eye, your favorite possum in the world.
This is gonna be great.
So great. And Pink Eye invited the Badger Lord over for lunch.
Well, that sounds like fiction to me, Lance, for sure. Pink Eye would never do that. She knows the Badger Lord is bad news.
Well, she did, Chip. But it was International Badger Appreciation Day.
But, Lance, the Badger Appreciation Society has not been successful in convincing the UN or any other international organization, for that matter, that they are the society.
Chip, in this story they did. Pink Eye and the Badger Lord were good friends.
Pink Eye, for shame.
Well, they were. So the Badger Lord comes to lunch. And what do you think is the first thing the Badger Lord does?
Something nefarious.
It was so nefarious, Chip. You see, when people are in tight quarters, they have to respect each other's stuff, but that is not what the Badger Lord did. He broke up Pink Eye's beautiful $6,000 mahogany table and he made it into little popsicle sticks. And then he said it wasn't a big deal. And Pink Eye let him stay until he trashed the motorboat and the Porsche and stomped on all her pizza Pringles. And then she told him, "Come back soon, it was great to have you over."
That's
Why is so funny, Chip? What's so funny?
Lance, Pink Eye would never let the Badger Lord get away with all that destruction of personal property, friends or no friends. You know why? Because Pink Eye has good boundaries.
What? Good boundaries?
That's right, Lance. Nothing more important than good boundaries.
Oh, for Pete's sake, I give up.
Apropos of nothing, Lance. Be careful when you go to your mailbox, because planted landmines all over your yard. That way, if Mr. Coronavirus comes along, boom!
Ah!
Say, Lance, is it okay that I set your couch on fire?
What?
Ah! I just remembered Goodnight Moon!
Ah!